right, let's make it happen.
All right.
Jack, man, good to have you, brother.
What's up?
Appreciate you coming on Win Today podcast. Looking forward to this, man. I've known you for a long time, so this will be fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. So a little bit about Jack, everybody. Experienced recruiter over 19 years, and he is the CEO of Onestaff Medical in 2010. His Onestaff was created. That's, I think, when we met you, 2011.
Yeah, right.
Probably 2012.
Yep.
Doesn't see himself as a CEO. Spends more time on the floor training his managers and recruiting force and how to become successful recruiters. Strongly believes he's achieved through being upfront and honest with all the candidates, no matter what their story is. That's awesome, man. And then I love this. He works under the philosophy, if you executively manage from 10,000 feet for too long, you forget what it is that your internal and external employees are looking for. Jack prides himself on being much more grounded than the typical CEO. So, and having worked for large and small firms, the diverse experience allowed you to bring a style of company to the industry that can function like the big firms while keeping the mindset of a small company. So Jack's Onestaff Medical has a family mindset, and then the dedication to change the perception of traveling recruiting firms and their relationship with travelers has helped Onestaff Medical repeatedly earn rewards such as best staffing firms to recruit for, fastest growing private companies from both Inc. 500 and Staff and Industry Analyst, not to mention locally the best place to work in Omaha.
Yeah.
That's a lot, man.
We're very lucky. Very lucky.
That is awesome, man. That's a great bio. So that's a little bit about Jack, man. We'll get right to it, man.
Okay.
I got to pick your brain on a lot of things.
Yeah, you bet.
And everybody's looking forward to this conversation. So let's get started. Jack Swinney, CEO, Onestaff Medical, man. Let's talk about how Onestaff came around.
So once I came around, I worked for some larger firms in the past. So again, 19, 20 years now. And truth of the matter, Onestaff came around, my best friend and my business partner, so Jason Avenel, kind of had the idea. So 20 years ago when he recruited me into this business, literally said, I think you could sell. You know, we're coming out of college and I'm thinking, I don't want to sell. You know, I want to be in marketing or I want something glamorous. Let's do advertising. You know, I don't want to sell. I don't want to be, you know, in the root of everything. And he literally called me up when I was working for a bank and said, we're expanding this business out here. So I think you should come out and interview. So he took me to Shirley's Diner and we had a lunch and he literally told me about the job. And for me, I was like, oh, I already have my career path. You know, I'm 22 years old. You know, I'm working my way up through the bank. I'm going to be an executive someday. You know, you have all these dreams and everything. And he said, dude, sales, you could do it. If anybody could do this, you could do it. So I said, all right. And honestly, I went out and interviewed and I walked out of that place thinking, nah, I don't really, you know, I still don't want to sell. You know, I got a degree. I want to do something more glamorous. Right. And truth of the matter, when I left, I'll never forget, because one of the main managers or executives who had interviewed followed me and said, I can see your hesitation, but you're the type that we're looking for. I want you to, when you leave, I want you to drive through and see all the cars in the parking lot.
Okay.
And I never saw the cars on the way in because I'm looking for the interview. On the way out, I saw them. And there was Corvettes, Mercedes, BMWs, jacked up trucks. You know, Mustangs, Camaro, everything that a kid would want. And truth of the matter, at that point, I said, that's what I want. I want money.
That's your parking lot, dude.
That's
in your parking
That's
lot
our
today.
parking lot now. And Jason and I take pride over that
so
because
cool,
when you provide something, people in sales, they want more. They want something more. And truth of the matter, when I left that parking lot, I said, okay, I want more. And I accepted the position. And through working with that company, I decided to start my own 4 years later.
Okay.
The corporation got large, so large that we forgot how hard it is to work on the floor. You know, when you're in sales, whether you're a manager or not, if you forget how hard it is to work on the floor, then you've forgotten everything. And truth of the matter, when I decided, I left and tried to recreate my own. And truth of the matter, after a number of years, I failed. the market went bad, the economy went bad, and man, I almost lost everything.
This is '08 is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
'08, '09.
Okay.
I ended up luckily I had a firm that wanted that had been kind of following me along and wanted to buy us, but the market had tanked so bad that truth of the matter, I sold it for nothing. I walked away with a little bit. I walked away honestly debt free,
Okay.
knowing that maybe I could start all the way back over again. But truth of the matter, I look back and I made so many mistakes.
Yeah, sure.
I literally failed at that first company.
Huh.
And a year into my contract with the company that I sold to, here comes Jason again.
Huh.
And he says,
There he
hey,
is again.
yeah, you bet. He gave me a phone call and said, hey, man, you want to do it again? And I said, absolutely.
This is when?
2010.
This is
So
2010.
early 2010, he says, you want to do it again? And I said, absolutely. Let's go.
Nice.
I said, let's rock. And he immediately, he said, all right, what do we need? What do we need to do? What do we need to get going? And him and I sat, and I had a little bit of money stashed away at that point and said, okay, let's use this, and let's do it the right way this time, though. Okay. So truth of the matter, from every mistake that I made that first time, and now having a business partner. So the first time was by myself, thinking I could do everything on my own. I picked up a business partner, and he just happened to be my best friend.
That's so cool.
So, and to this day, from the beginning on, we sat and talked, and because we talked and said we're not going to make those same mistakes, and he watched me go through all of it.
Sure.
He watched me go through the stresses and the ups and downs of owning a business. And he said, I saw you, I had gotten divorced. Yeah. I was going to the bars a lot. Yeah. I had crawled into a hole. Because when your business, which is your baby, doesn't go in the direction that you want, you can become depressed. Yeah. And truth of the matter, this guy picked me up and said, what do we got to do? And we went through all of the things that I messed up the first time. Yeah. And we said, we're going to avoid that this time around. And that's how Onestaff started. It was just from experience, the ups and downs, and truth of the matter, failure. Yeah. Through failure and accepting that failure and getting my butt back up. And it helps to have somebody that's right beside you to do it as well.
Man.
Yeah.
What did that failure or that adversity, what's the biggest lesson you think you learned throughout that whole process?
Get back up.
Yeah.
Get back up. Because
a lot of people don't, though, unfortunately.
No, the thing is, you're so scared.
Yeah, sure.
You're so scared to fail. Yeah. When you started your business, the first few years, you're scared. Really rough. I mean, you don't want to make mistakes. But at the same time, when you do, instead of accepting them, you try to Band-Aid it. And, the thing is, instead of, following through with what you believe in yourself, believe in your plan, you end up making little tiny mistakes. And those little mistakes catch up to you. And the thing that a lot of people don't do is once that, first business goes under, I mean, man, my first business went under.
Bad experience. Bad experience.
And you just get back up. You get back up and you learn from those mistakes. Yeah. And you don't make the same mistake.
That's awesome, man. Good for you. So 2010, Onestaff Medical comes around, right? You have 4 to 5 staff, right? So I mean, how many?
Well, yeah, there's only a few of us. Okay. And one of the things we decided to do this time was let's just run it. Jason, you're going to market. I'm going to recruit. Okay. And we're going to save money. Okay. All right. Okay. So the first thing is when you have a dream, you could go after it and you could borrow a bunch of money. Sure. But then now you're owned by whoever you borrowed money from. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it exceeds the amount of revenue that you're bringing in. So the pressure, it ends up being too high. Sure. So what we did this time was that we're just going to save money. We're not going to hire until we feel financially secure. Okay. So that's what we did. And that's why our first place was in a really low-key, low-rent, 1 bathroom shared by everybody, just a very air conditioner and heater never worked. I mean, with 45 degrees below the other day, I don't think we would have survived in there. I don't think we would have made it. But we saved our money. Yeah. And so we worked, and we didn't hire our first person for, I think, 3 years.
Okay.
So we just built.
Okay.
And so even as owners, we just sold.
Okay.
We were salespeople. We managed the business and sold. And then decided, like I said, that 3 years, I think, into it, to hire the first folks. And that's when, when you got to see, we only had, 4 or 5 folks in there.
Yeah. That's cool. What a cool story, man. You got hit right in the face.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, let's get back up. We
Right.
do this again the second time. So, so you run your team, man. Obviously, you have a different way of managing your team, is what I've seen, man. I think it's one of the most unique and the best strategy, in my opinion. Can you share a little bit about how you run your team, man? Because you're still very involved.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So there's obviously everybody sees the memes where there's a boss and there's a leader, right? I'm just not a good boss.
Okay.
I think I'm a really bad boss because then I would, boss by emotion.
Okay.
Where when you lead, right? I think people follow when you're willing to do the same job that you're asking them to do. None of my folks that we have I ever asked them to do something that I haven't already done or doing at the exact same time. So those folks that started with us, 10 years ago, I'm on the phones. I'm right beside them. And so when you have an employee turn around to you and say, I can't do this, and you say, fine, give me the phone, and then you do it.
So today you're doing that. Like
today.
Once in a while, you'll just go and say, okay, let me show you how this is done.
100%. I will call Logan or Mike or Josh and say, if you can't do this, all right, fine, give me the phone and I'll do it. And they say, fine, I'll take care of it. Because here's the deal. You get a couple things when you do that for people. You're going to immediately get the respect, because if it's a new salesperson and now you just closed the sale for them, they get paid, right? So they're going to start to follow you. But on top of it, they learn because they listen to what you had to say.
It's the best way to learn.
And that's the difference, because I have had bosses that say this, do this, do that. But if you don't show me, how am I supposed to learn? Yeah. Right? But I also don't cut them off too early, and I do let them make mistakes.
Okay.
They have to make mistakes.
To learn.
They have to fall on their face, and then I'm there to help pick them up.
Yeah.
But I don't tell them, I show them. And I think that's the difference. And that's how, when I run, any of my teams or any of my managers or sales reps, I guess the biggest thing for me, no matter where I'm at in life, I'm not afraid to sit down at a desk right across from you and pick up the phone and start recruiting.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Nobody ever should think that they're too good for it. They're above it. I make too much money. I'm the owner. I'm the boss. I shouldn't do that. Yeah. No, you get your butt on the phone right across from your staff, and there's nothing to do except respect that person.
Yeah, you have to. That's cool, man. Your culture is, I think that's one of the reasons you have one of the best cultures, man, as far as a company goes at your level, because you guys are growing like crazy, over 100 employees that you guys have over there. So how can you get a culture, that many people, man, on the same page and build the culture that you have built? Because when I walk over there, man, the culture is one of the first things that I notice, man. Everybody's happy, driven, committed, ready to knock it out of the park that day with their sales. How have you done that, man? How have you brought that culture together? Is it because leading? Is that
primary leading? But Jason and myself are also a couple, owners that we're the least greedy that you'll see. Instead of how can we stockpile for ourselves, it's a lot more how can we give. We want to see the new cars. We love to hear when people buy new houses. A lot of these things we can live vicariously through them, but we also love to see the progression. That's awesome. When it comes from us, and then your managers see that. Yep. And your managers do that to their folks. Honest to God, it shows that they care. Yeah. They want to see people succeed. There's no reason for us not to. And I guess it starts from us.
Sure.
And I think people see that, they see that we care. And as long as we do, and your managers do, your people will tend to care just the same as you do about the company as a whole. They want to hit the goals together. Sure. As well as individually, as long as they feel like we care that they're hitting their goal.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, that's awesome, man. So What's your advice to smaller companies like mine? I think we have 13 employees now.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for 5 to 15 employers that have 5 to 15 employees? How do we grow to 100 employees? Because that's where I want to go. That's where
Sure.
a lot of people that are in that stage, they want to grow. They're like, well, it's 2020 hit us, right?
Yep.
Oh man, like I can't grow anymore, right? But you were growing in 2020. You guys grew. So
Sure.
how do we go? How do companies like us grow to the next stage? Get to 50 first, maybe. How do we
Sure.
do that?
So
How'd you guys do that?
So the first thing, again, with Onestaff, we built a very strong structure,
Okay.
right? And it's not like we decided or had a bunch of money to grow right away.
Okay.
So first and foremost, we made sure we were financially stable, right? And then we grew slowly,
Okay.
right? Not to outgrow ourselves. And then when the time came, we decided, let's go for it.
Mm.
And my
How do you know
advice
that
would
time
be,
came?
well, honestly, it was a feeling.
Okay.
It was a
Okay.
feeling.
Okay.
If you take a look at the worst case scenario for your business, and for us, it was, say we had 30 employees at that time. Like, okay, if this were to happen, we're financially secure enough, right?
Okay.
That if a recession happened, and a lot of our business is to make ourselves recession proof. When I lost my first business was right around 2008, 2009, so when the recession hit. So what are things that we can do to avoid that? And one of those was not having the pressure of not having any money in the bank.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So at that point, the feeling was 25, 30 employees, let's go.
Okay.
Let's just take the money that we've saved
Okay.
and let's plug it into people and let's go.
And you already have the structure.
And you already have the
when
structure
people
in
come
place.
They'll get trained well.
Absolutely.
You got a good leader that's going to
You
show
got
them
it.
what to do.
Yep. And if you think
Couldn't
about
fail.
it, we didn't start truly hiring on a large scale maybe 3 years ago,
Yeah,
4 years
I was
ago.
gonna say
Maybe
3
4 years
years.
ago.
Okay.
4 years ago is when we started.
Okay.
And we have gone from the small, medium size to the larger, revenue over $100 million a year
Yeah.
firm in less than 4 years.
Yeah.
Because we had that structure already in place.
Yeah.
If you jump too
Key.
quick, it's a mistake that you're going to make.
Yeah.
You have to have your core people in place, the basic structure of what your
Yeah.
business is.
Yeah.
And then you have to have the guts to go for it.
Okay.
When you have
your
that,
non-negotiables, like you got to have those non-negotiables for your business. Like
you got it.
person comes in, cancer. Okay. That's a non-negotiable, right? Do you
That's-
have
yep.
some of that in the business right now?
Sure. Some of the things that we have that are non-negotiables
Yeah.
would literally be effort,
Okay.
and as Jason would always say, intent. So I'm
Okay.
more of the effort and he's the intent.
Okay.
Okay. If you have the effort, but you don't have the intent to succeed. So some people can have the effort of saying, okay, I need to make 100 calls in a day, but they don't make 100 calls in a day.
Sure.
They just dial up 800 numbers, right? The ones that kind of fake it, right? So I'm showing you an effort, but my intent isn't there.
Oh.
Those are non-negotiables with us. You have to have the intent. If I'm going to make 100 phone calls,
Yeah.
it's not for you. The 100 phone calls is for me. I want the Mercedes. I want the BMW. I want these things. And my advice would be to find those people
Yeah.
that have those same non-negotiables themselves.
Oh.
I'm not making the 100 phone calls for
That's
you.
good.
I'm making it for me
That's good.
because I want to better myself. I want to better my family. Those people, whether you're interviewing or you're getting them through referrals, you just kind of, you know that they had their story is a rough one, and you're giving them a chance. And that's what we do. Most of our successful people that we have were ones that nobody gave them a chance.
Yeah, sure.
They had a rough beginning.
Yeah.
Whether they got in trouble, or heading in the wrong direction. All we did was provide them an opportunity, push them in the right direction, and then hold them accountable to their own goals, not just ours.
That's cool.
And once they did and figured it out and stopped coming up with excuses on their own on why they were failing or why they weren't making it and really went after it, that's when you see each one of them just kind of blossom. And that's when they start being successful and making money and start being successful in more than just at work,
Yep, sure.
just in their overall lives.
Yeah.
I mean, some of
Yeah.
our mutual friends,
Yeah.
right? That
You changed their lives, man.
it's not just the work, but
Yep.
look at where they're at now.
Mm-hmm.
Families, children,
Yeah.
they have homes,
Yeah.
they have,
Good bodies for some of them.
yeah, yeah,
They
right.
actually went to the gym.
Yeah, right. Right.
Ripped shirt, man. I see this all the time.
Sure.
On Facebook, you guys do this. It's a culture thing, right? People
Yep.
look forward to it. I look forward to it.
Yep.
I love looking at those pictures. Tell us a story about that.
So with the rip shirts, it's actually they cut the shirts up.
Okay.
All right. We warn everybody now. It used to be when you reached a certain amount of assists. So you come in as a brand new person,
Mm-hmm.
you have to get a certain amount of assists. But on your first one,
Okay.
your team gets to cut up your shirt.
Okay.
It's a rite of passage. It's also if you're a new person and you come in, it makes you feel like you're part of the team.
Yeah. Welcome to the club.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I remember the feeling, of being in my first sales
you did that. They
So-
did that to you.
So they did to me, but it was my tie.
Oh.
So way back when,
Oh, yeah,
when
you-
we actually had to dress up, they cut my tie.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is the reason for the tie was as expensive as the ties were. The thing is, you're going to make so much money now after you've got your first.
That was the idea behind it.
You're you can
okay.
buy as many as you want after this.
Oh,
So
interesting.
we just changed it because in the new world today, we don't dress up, right? So we cut up T-shirts, and we say, bring your favorite, your
so
worst,
they get a
whatever.
heads up.
Yeah. So
Okay,
you get a
good.
heads up now.
I'm like, they show up in their
And
nice
then-
T-shirt today. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
"Oh,
No, we don't anymore.
be
So we're a little
bad.
bit nicer to
yeah,
folks.
we're a little bit. Nice.
But we think it makes everybody feel part of the team.
Yeah.
And it is a sense of pride that I'm here. I got my first assists, and here I go.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's really cool. I look forward to that, man. I want to talk about leadership, man. How you position people in their leadership. Obviously, with the structure you're talking about, I feel like the same people on your team are the leaders that have been around for a long time. So that structure that you're talking about, you set that up right away with your leadership team,
Yep.
right? And now you trust them. How did you get out of that, and now you can completely trust them to be able to run the show on a daily basis? Because you're 19, 20 years and you've got a lot on your plate.
Sure.
You're not there daily. How have you learned to step back a little bit and let
Right.
them kind of take over?
So, for anybody out there that's an owner or trying to work on this, it's very difficult.
Okay.
Okay. It's a very, most of us are very controlling people.
Mhm.
We want to control every aspect of our business because it's our baby.
Mhm.
I'll tell you, something happened to me maybe a year or so ago
Mhm.
that I realized that, as an owner, that sometimes my decisions that I make can be egotistical and they can be emotional.
Mhm.
Or I don't like this, so let's make this a process,
Mm.
right? Who's going to stop me? My business partner, Jason, would stop me. The same as if he makes a decision based on emotion or ego,
Mhm.
I stop him, and it works very well for us.
Mhm.
But truth of the matter, as an owner, if you don't answer to anybody, you can make terrible decisions because you're emotional.
Mhm.
So I thought I need to maybe start taking a step back and start entrusting a little bit of these duties to some of my managers,
Okay.
a little by little,
Okay.
and training them in order to kind of fill the position. It's still a work in progress. So obviously I'm still there every day.
Yeah.
I'm still in the
Yeah.
trenches. I can't give up control completely,
Yeah.
but it is getting easier when I throw projects out
Mhm.
and, so to speak, test them
Yep.
and watch how they do. And the greatest thing is through time, because one of the things that so many people do is, well, I don't want to work anymore, so I'm going to promote you to take over my company. I don't want to do this, so you take care of this. The thing is, when you do that, the person that you're giving it to might not be ready.
Right. Sure.
And if they're not, how are you going to grow? It's taken as you probably hear from some of my managers or the ones that have recently been promoted to vice presidents,
Yeah.
that, I've been waiting for this for a really long time. And I would always tell them, just wait.
Mm.
When the time is right, the time is right.
Fair enough.
And truth of the matter, when I knew the time was right, when I start throwing some things out there, hey, did we do this? And I'm already getting answers back. It's already taken care of.
Uh,
And anymore, I guess one of the things that's kind of funny, that if you want promoted, make me obsolete.
okay.
And so I
That's awesome.
entrusted or challenged them that if you don't want me here and you don't want, big brother looking over your shoulder, or, you want to be autonomous, then make me obsolete. And these guys have done a really good job of trying really hard to make me obsolete.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's to the point when I ask a question anymore, it's already done.
That's cool.
Yeah, if I get to an email, it's 30 minutes late, they've already taken care of it.
That's cool, man. It's cool to have that trust. But
it's
like
a
you
good
said,
feeling.
slowly, you kind of have to earn that.
Yep.
Yeah. Has anybody gone backwards and one time like, I messed up? So how do they get that trust back again?
Sure.
It's going to take longer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, a couple of the managers have taken steps back through their process.
Yeah.
But I guess the one thing with this taking a step back, and you want to know what makes, me a little bit different, is that I don't give up on people.
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah.
Where
that's awesome.
Upon advice from others is you should let this person go. You should fire this person. And, the thing is that when I see somebody with talent or I see somebody that I believe in, I don't give up.
Yeah.
And, I would say the same thing that Jason did to me,
Yeah.
right? So he saw me fail, but he didn't give up on me.
Yes.
And so he says,
it's a great lesson.
Get up, man. Let's do this again.
Yeah.
The same thing applies, to a lot of our staff. Yeah. And the reason why this management has been with us for so long and they build that loyalty is because, they got to feel that we have their back,
Yeah, for sure. Man, you got a great group over there, man. So,
yeah, for sure.
Your goals for the office, man? You guys have weekly, monthly, daily goals. Do you have any advice for businesses that maybe have goals? Like, what are you doing?
Sure.
Anything for
My
us?
advice would be to set the end goal first.
Okay.
So for us in recruiting, so many people set goals of, well, I want you to make 100 calls a day, and I want you to have this much talk time, and this, and this. Our number one goal is, well, how many placements are you going to get at the end of the week?
Per person.
Yeah, per person. So they set that. This is how many I'm going to get for the week.
Okay.
Now, how they get there is those metrics. But truth of the matter, if somebody gets there and has really low metrics, it is what it is, right? Now, we ask them to set daily goals too, because you have to feel, as a salesperson, you can feel defeated every single day. But if you say, I'm going to, rip 100 calls today, at the end of the day, if you didn't talk to anybody, but you ripped those 100 calls, you at least feel somewhat, I got something accomplished today, right? Or I'm going to talk to, if I get somebody on the phone, I'm going to talk to them for 30 minutes at least. And I'm going to ask every question, and try to qualify them, as they feel that they did a good job or set that goal for the day, you're going to feel like you accomplished something by the end of the day. So as a company, we set the weekly goal, but we ask folks to set daily goals for themselves. So I know what it's like to be in sales. I just stopped recruiting 2 years ago. I passed off my last person, seriously, I think like 2 years ago. But I remember what it's like. And there's days that you don't, you could call and nobody picks up. Or every single person is a no. And sometimes the no's are the nice ones. Some you're getting hung up on, or nowadays they have their own animated version of, swearing at you, or, people tend to play with salespeople these days. So I know it's really hard. So if you set those daily goals, at least you'll feel somewhat accomplished by the end of the day.
You won the day almost.
Exactly.
Because that was your goal.
Yep.
It's good stuff. Let's get to your personal, man, because I've got some questions for you on the personal side. So you have a structure that you have in place at home. You have your kids be accountable. I know your kids had to work when they were allowed to work.
Yeah.
They had to buy their own car, right?
Yep.
Your daughter pays her own insurance because she pays me.
Yep.
So obviously a person, your kids don't have to. They have enough. You could pay for them, right? So what's your reasoning behind it? And give me the idea behind that.
Absolutely. I think that if I take care of everything for my kids, they're going to grow up to be spoiled. They're not going to know how hard it is, to work, how hard it is to earn. when you earn that first car, it should be earned,
Okay.
in my opinion, and
Beautiful.
not bought and paid for. I mean, I had to work for mine.
Yeah.
And I think no matter how much money you have, making your kids work in a hard, tough job, at 15 years old when they can first start working, or 14 sometimes, if some places will let you work, I think it just builds that structure again to let them understand that, mommy and daddy aren't there to pay for everything, that you need to do this. And sure, my kids are, well, how come you couldn't buy me a new Jeep? Because I'm not going to buy you a new Jeep. Did you earn a new Jeep? And sure, my kids, they go to high school. They don't have they're not going to have a super nice car, but they're going to have a reliable car.
Yep.
And they're going to feel better about themselves, in my opinion, once they've bought it themselves and they have to take care of it. So
that's huge.
Yeah, all 5 kids will have to do that.
Oh, that's so
on
cool,
on their own, no matter what.
That's one thing that I'm gonna implement, because my family comes from nothing. My dad and mom, they didn't have any money, So I was like, all right, when my kids are older, man, I'm gonna provide it for them.
Yeah.
But then I see you, I'm
Sure.
like, man, I think they gotta earn it. They gotta, because they'll build character.
Yeah.
Going through that, and structure and life lesson that I think helped me.
Yeah.
become who I am.
I think so too. I think it'll be too easy for them if I just hand it to them.
Yeah. What about the keeping the doors open, or or the 68 in the house for the air? Like, what's your philosophy on that?
So my philosophy and my wife as well as my business partner Jason will be, he's a little frugal, when it comes to things like that. The house has to be set, at 68 degrees.
Okay.
I don't want it any warmer.
Okay.
Even at night, sometimes we turn it down.
Is it because if it makes you feel like that's your temperature where your body's like it's comfortable, or is it other reasons behind it?
Money.
Okay.
Always money. Always money, man. The lights are on. It's costing me money. The kids leave the lights on upstairs. If the heater's turned up, it's costing me money. And
that's awesome.
Yes, for me, it's really big with why is the garage door open? The heat's getting out. It's a lot of it's about efficiency.
Okay.
And truthfully, being careful and watching where your money goes. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but truth of the matter, our office building, I think, is 30-some thousand square feet.
Okay.
If I don't actually watch each of these things, like I actually have, our facilities manager has to go around, and if there's sections of the building that aren't being used,
turn it off.
The temperature. Yes.
Down.
So during COVID, when we were shut down for those months, but you can't let your pipes freeze.
Okay.
You can't. We only had certain sections that were turned on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But same thing that goes on right now. It's about efficiency. And again, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you have that much square footage, your electric bill could be, $5,000, but if we were efficient, it drops to $4,000. That extra $1,000, truth of the matter, the extra $1,000 doesn't go in my pocket. The extra $1,000 we might give out as bonuses. Yeah. We will
$12,000 a year.
Yeah, we have a pizza party for our staff or things like that. Okay. So I just kind of funnel the money that we save into other areas.
That's awesome.
And it usually either gets donated or it's off to employees. Again, whether it's bonuses or a bowling party or things like that.
That's cool, man. No, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that.
But I know. I think your own wife has yelled at you, like, how come you can't be more like Jack and turn the lights off and be
60. I'm a 70 to 71 person.
Oh,
she's more like a 68.
Yeah. 71 I would roast. I would. Then it becomes uncomfortable. I think that's too much. And I see like money flying out the door.
You wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah.
You have a lot of willpower, man, and you're really competitive. And I know that about you because we had a competition one time, me, you, Mike, Jason, and Logan.
Yep.
And you weren't going to let that, like, you were going to win. Like, I knew it from, like, even start because I know how competitive you are when the time comes, when it's crunch time, right? So,
sure.
And I know that's the same thing with the business, like the willpower to not eat for 12 hours or just eat salmon for the next month. Like, how can you do that, man? Like, it's hard for me to be committed every day, but you have that willpower when you put your mind to it. How do you do that?
Honestly, I hate to lose.
Okay.
I really hate to lose.
Okay.
And there's something that always just kind of sits on my shoulder and drives me when it comes to a competition.
Okay.
In business, in personal,
okay.
I don't want to lose.
Okay.
But the funny thing is that I have lost through my life. I've lost.
Sure.
And I've been beaten, and I have, failed. And through a lot of those failures and losing, you have to make a decision. Am I going to continue to lose and just be okay with it? Or am I going to focus and do what I have to do?
Mm-hmm.
And at some point in time in my life, I stopped with any excuses on, well, this, because of the economy or because of this or because of that, these are the reasons why. And I stopped. Mm-hmm. And so when we have a competition like what we have, it's game on. And there's no way I'm losing to Logan or Mike or, and that focus and that sheer will to make sure that you're going to win means you diet every day.
Oh, sure.
You're in the gym every day. You have to do everything, and you can't, there's no cheating, because the cheating is the excuse, right?
100%.
I deserve a cheat day. No, you don't. Not if you want to win. Mm-hmm. You have to make those sacrifices. And I learned that making those sacrifices in order to win through all of those failures that I had prior.
That's awesome, man. Who was your biggest role model growing up?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For
what
sure.
Is one of the biggest lessons he's taught you?
So, one of the biggest things is that it doesn't cost money to be kind to people. Mm. Okay. But one of the biggest things that my dad just showed, he never really told me, he just showed. Mm. So they owned a small gas station in my hometown. And he also worked as a boiler engineer for the college. So he worked 2 full-time jobs. Okay. And that man, every single time, if he had a moment, which I didn't really get to see him very often growing up, working two jobs. But if he did have time, and I would say, do you want to play catch? He always, yes. Yeah. It was always yes, no matter how tired he was. And I watched this man also in our own shop when he would do oil changes, how he would sit and talk to people. Most of the time, it's, like a Jiffy Lube, in, out, you're done, pay me my money, and you're out. And my old man would sit there and he would talk to people and just, so what's going on with you? How's how's life type thing? And a lot of folks, it would turn into a 45-minute conversation, but it brought them back. Repeat business. And just we apply that. Absolutely. And when I started selling and recruiting, I applied the same thing. Be kind to them. Give them that extra customer service. And, honest to God, just talk to them. It's not just, $10 that they're paying you. They're a customer. Make them feel important.
100%.
And so that influence, as I grew up and started in my own sales career, it really has sat with me, and it still sits with me today. And with our company, is that take care of people and be honest with them. Just be honest, be upfront. If you do those things, they'll come back. There's no reason to, lie about it or cheat. If you do those things, people are gonna find out, and then we'll come back to you.
For sure.
So
that's huge,
absolutely the biggest influence.
That's good stuff. You're incredibly generous, man, in promoting a lot of people you work with. You work with me as an insurance agent, of course. You promote me all the time within your organization, on Facebook, everywhere. You have your landscaping guy, right?
Right.
You have your drywall guy. You've got your concrete
always got a guy.
You always got a guy,
yeah,
right? So what's your philosophy? You have your advisor. So what's your philosophy, man, when it comes to why do you have your guys? Because I can go to you for anything and say, hey, man, I need this guy. You're like, hey, I've got a guy. And you promote them. You truly care about them, right? So what's your philosophy there, man? I'm intrigued.
Well, every time I do have somebody to give you, it's because they're the cheapest and they do the best work, though, right?
Okay, yeah, they do.
It's never,
every time.
And usually each time, it's because somebody was trying to get into a business. Okay. They were trying to start their own. Okay. They were brand new. Okay. And they needed somebody to either help or promote them or give them a chance.
Yeah.
So the one thing I do is I give a lot of people chances, first chances.
Sure.
Right? So, example, the landscaper.
Yeah.
He was just starting out in his new business. Let's give him a shot because I really like what he had to say. I knew his work was top quality and his pricing was obviously on point.
Right.
And the guy ended up putting our house it's in like the magazines. Yeah. And because his work is just phenomenal.
Okay.
But that's one example. My philosophy behind it is that, again, I take care of people, they take care of me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, why not? I want other people that are around me to be successful.
Do they remind me a little bit of you? Like they're just starting, like they need a Jason to say, hey, come on, man.
Get up, let's go. Let's do this. I'll be the first shot for you. You do this and I'll promote you like crazy because let's help you get your business off the ground.
That's cool, man.
100%.
That's cool. We appreciate you, man. Now let's talk about non-negotiables, man, before we get out of here.
Sure.
And then morning routine. Do you have a morning routine that you use? And if so, what is it?
I guess I have kids and I have little ones now.
Yep.
So between the 7 and 5 at this point, there's really no routine that you could possibly have. But there's one thing that I do every morning, and I make the bed.
Okay.
My wife thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah.
She says every morning, you have to make the bed. I feel myself that if I make the bed and I make it nice and neat, I start my day.
Ooh.
Every day. That's like the one thing that I do. No matter if anything else changes, I make the bed and then the dogs come on and mess it up, or the kids come in crying, or one gets sick, or anything that happens. I started my day with that, and it becomes very nice and neat and organized. And that's how I start my day.
And is that your non-negotiable?
That's a non-negotiable. No matter what I make, I always make the bed. It just helps me get in a mind frame of everything is neat and organized, because if you have chaos around you, it can create chaos internally as well. So if there's that one thing I can control, and that's the one thing I can do is make the bed, and it helps me get started.
Cool, man. Any other non-negotiables throughout the day, whether it's at work or
keeping things so throughout the day at work and at home? Okay. Honest to God, again, I think my wife hates this, but keeping things organized and structured. Okay. Clean. Okay. So even at work. Okay. I tell people to straighten up their desks. Okay. In our conference rooms, trying to keep the chairs nice and neat. So when the next people come in, it's nice and neat. 100%. The thing is, what I've learned is that if your desk is chaotic, if your conference room is chaotic, if you come home and the house is a complete mess, your mind frame changes. Oh yeah. And it goes into, instead of thinking about the things that you want to about work or what do I need to do, you're thinking about, it's chaotic. I got to clean this. It like gets cloudy in my own brain. Yeah. Makes sense. But when it's clean and neat, now I can focus on the things that are important. And that's the same thing at work. If my desk, I like to have clutter free. And in this day and age, you don't need a lot of paper, right? So the more clutter-free that it is, I can actually think and focus. For sure. So it's a non-negotiable. It's got to be awesome. It's got to be nice and neat.
Biggest lesson, man, that your kids or your wife, Katie, has taught you?
Patience. Okay. Totally. Yeah. So I've never really been a patient person. When I was younger. It has to be now. They have completely taught me 1,000% to be patient. It's hard. Yes. Take a step back. When things look the worst, just take a step back, breathe, and have a little patience.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Final question, man. We do this every time. It's the Win the Day podcast, of course. Okay. How do you win the day, man? It goes back to the non-negotiables maybe a little bit, but how do you win the day?
So for myself, it's even as a company, when we set the weekly goals, I even set daily goals for myself. Okay. And I win the day by hitting at least one of my goals. Okay. And one of those goals could be to make sure that, I meet a new person. Okay. Make sure I walk around on the floor. Just the simplest little goals help you when you leave for the day, make you feel like you won.
Cool. And you write it down, you like in the morning or like when you get to the office?
In the morning, I get in the office. I already have a checklist of things that I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
Right? So you got a checklist from the day
Yep.
before, or you have your emails to
Yep.
get through. It's something that I tell myself every day.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, you say win the day. Jason was one of them, and he had this term years ago.
Okay.
What are you going to do to win the day?
Yeah.
And when it's sales, it's I'm going to get one person on the phone.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to talk to this person for 30 minutes. Those simple things, but it's daily stuff, right, that you try to hit.
100%.
Nowadays, it's what can I do to maybe make somebody feel important? What can I do to make somebody feel better? It becomes more of an emotional or a feel thing for me now.
Cool.
And I don't write it down. I come in the office and do what I'm supposed to do with operational stuff, and then try to do something that's good or nice for somebody else.
Yeah. That's incredible, man. What a great story, man.
Thanks.
Look forward to seeing where you go from here, man.
Thanks, brother.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Good to have you.
You bet. Thanks for having me.